Hello Internet! I've been giving a fair amount of thought into what my next punishment should be because I am due for 2 more. And I've decided that for my next punishment, I am going to try and keep it simple. I am going to take a hot dog. Then I'm going to make a slice across its length and insert wasabi in the gap. Then I shall cook it as normal. Then I shall film myself eating it. Anyway folks, let me know what improvements I can put upon this punishment, but please don't kill me. I actually have cause to celebrate today. It took me a while to share it, but I shall not hold it off for any longer. R18 for the win! If you don't quite know what's going on, Australia up until, last week? Was the only developed country without an R18 plus rating for games. Not that it was Australia's fault, I think Australia is a grown-up enough country as it is. But our classification system leaves a little bit to be desired, and I should know because I was a content assessor for a few years. Just to clarify, a content assessor isn't someone who rates content, it's just somebody who recommends a rating for content to a company. We kind of have to know the ins and outs of the rating system, and yes, I was very frustrated that there was no R18 plus rating for games. This meant that a lot of games which would otherwise be considered part of the mature market for gamers didn't even make it here because they were refused classification under our archaic rating system. And people here began to see the inconsistency. See, we have an R18 rating for film, and we have an R rating, we even have 2 R ratings for publications, but none for games. The medium's come a long way in the last decade. So after some tossing and turning by attorneys general all over the country, a really good MP put in a bill to the House of Representatives. That passed without modification. It went to the Senate, and that passed without modification. And we don't really have the big ugly veto step, so what do you know? It's going to make its way into law, and the R18 rating is going to make it in at the start of next year. Hey, considering that we've been waiting for this for like forever, it is about time. My giant beef with the process of it actually becoming legislation and coming into effect was the fact that we had to deal with the Australian Christian lobby through every freaking step of this process. And it's really frustrating because I'm Christian. I know a bunch of Christians who want the R18 plus rating to happen, but the Australian Christian lobby seems to be on this one-track mind that it represents all Christians in Australia, and that is certainly not true. So Australian Christian lobby, if you happen to stumble on this video, listen up. Some of your issues I'll fight with. This particular issue, I'll have to go against you on this one because, honest to goodness, the think about the children argument is crap. Especially if you expect the state to act like a nanny, because I certainly do not want a giant nanny state regarding games. And grow up concerning your views regarding video games. I don't want to believe in the perception that Australia is a backwards nation. I think we could actually have a really good games industry set up here if only people stop thinking that games were simply for kids. And a whole bunch of other things, including funding and thinking that games aren't a creative endeavor. But that's all moot now because the R18 rating is in effect in legislation, and it will come into effect at the start of the next year. And I am very happy about that, and the rest of the world should be happy about that. It's legally enforced in this country. Parents have a choice whether or not to give their kids R18 plus rated content, and it's their prerogative. Considering that as it stands right now, a lot of games that would usually get the R18 plus rating are actually getting the MA15 plus rating because, you know, there's no other shelf to shove them in except the highest one or refused classification. I don't know about you, I don't want games to be misrated. I want games to be rated properly, and there should be a framework that allows people who rate games to put it in the correct box. And the last thing we need in a discussion about the restricted rating on video games is scaremongering. Looking at you, ACL. Anyway, that's my rant on the R18 plus rating. I'm just really happy that it is coming into effect very soon. Something that shall not be affected by the R18 plus rating is the G-rated Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, which I have to say, again, I'm very excited about getting. Also, the beaker full of M&Ms is half full. This is called Candy Optimism. I shall leave it at that, folks. You shall see me once more on Wednesday, where I will be talking about whatever I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday. Until then, have a good Tuesday and early Wednesday. See ya!